Good morning. Happy Friday. We made it. It's Friday. That's right. That's right. Happy Friday. Captain Coder here. Another beautiful morning in southeast. Never know what to say here when I'm starting up. The southeastern quadrant of the United States. And beautiful, beautiful Arizona. I don't know that I need a web browser open right now. We are working on Adventure Quest, our prototype, our project prototype. I'm here. I'm excited. We've been making some solid progress. Call it dice roller here. Getting this open. Take a peek. Take a looky-loo, you might say. But yeah, good morning. So nice to be here. Got trying out a new Twitch bot, Stream Element. So the claim is, and it seems to be working right now, I can't transfer. So the claim seems to be that it's one place. I used to have two different bots, one for YouTube and one for Twitch, but you can sort of integrate it into one bot on Stream Element. So I'm giving it a shot. We're gonna see if it's a little, not even a little better. I didn't think that Nightbot was doing a bad job. It's a little strict. But that was just me not configuring it well. Oh, this is interesting how long it's taking. Usually it loads a little bit faster, I think. I don't know. Corfless, thank you for checking it out. Happy Friday, my friend. Welcome back. It's nice to see you. How you doing this morning? I saw you earlier on Clayman Dev's channel. Clayman Dev, if you want to go watch a real game developer, go check out Clayman Dev. I'd give a shout out. We don't have that many people here, but Clayman Dev, real quick. If you happen to, I'll try and give him another shout out later as well. I don't have that many, but if you're not following Clayman Dev, go do it. He does real game development, epic hero games. Smab, good morning, my friend. Happy Friday. It's nice. So nice to see you. How have you been? Smab? I know that you've I think you had mentioned that you have stuff going on, so you can't always make it at my regular time these days. But it's always a pleasure to see you when you're here. Oh, that coffee is so good. I have butterscotch toffee coffee. Just like a minor hint of butterscotch black. Ooh, Forza Horizon, nice. I always love that's a driving game, right? I think I've played that one. I like the driving games. I don't actually like driving all that much, but driving games are nice. I've always loved the sort of Need for Speed games, and Forza is another one that I don't think I've played the new one, but thanks, Core. I figured you deserved to be a mod, and you're in here all the time, so thank you for all your help with everything, Core. I trust you will be responsible, but it'll be nice to have you around. If anything goes wrong, any help is needed. All right, so what are we doing today? Let's take a look. Let's get we got too many things that are not. Let's get this open. All right, we got some codes, got some smelly code. But let's see what are we doing today? We're trying to prototype an RPG. Just trying to not even really trying to understand. Trying to understand Boogie Zolo. I love that name, Boogie Zolo. Happy Friday. Welcome aboard. Nice to see you. More than anything, I'm trying to understand what the different components of an RPG game are. It's me, Ryan. Ryan, happy. You made it. It's early for you, right? You're East Coast, 7 a.m. for you. Well, anyway, Good morning, my friend. Welcome aboard. For anyone who doesn't, Boogie Zolo is a long time, no, I don't know if long time, but it's been a student of mine for about a year now, studying computer science, all sorts of stuff. Awesome student, awesome student. He participated in my summer program last year, the pilot summer program I ran. Excellent, superb. He's helped me quite a bit, so much with Adventures in C Sharp. So Ryan, huge shout out to Ryan. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Over on YouTube, we got Superhero Sandwich. Good morning, Captain. Happy Friday. Super Dad passing through. So my dad's has a YouTube channel over there. Superhero Sandwich over there. I'm not sure what's on Superhero Sandwich. I think that's one of his new ones. But yeah, thank you for popping in, Dad. Good morning. Yeah, Ryan's helped me. Sorry, Boogie Zolo. Boogie Zolo has helped me quite a bit with the Adventures in C Sharp book. So thank you so much for all your help there, and happy Friday to you. Okay, so let's. All right, we're gonna get distracted because we always do, but we're gonna try and focus in here with a sign on, for what we're doing. Let's look at what we did last time. My sign on here. If you're not on the Discord yet, highly recommend hopping on the Discord. Trying to get people to be accountable for themselves doing these sign-on, sign-offs. But don't feel the pressure to do it. I'm just putting a little pressure. Don't feel too pressured into it. But this should be the place where you feel comfortable posting your progress updates. Core's been posting progress updates. I'm super proud of Core over there, making tons of progress. Nice work, my friend. Yesterday, so our goal, we're creating a status screen for our character. All right, drag and drop element manifest. We managed to get the drag and drop working for equipping and unequipping. We added additional types. We have a transition from the status screen to the town, but not from the town to the status screen. And we have serialization semi-working, so I'm pretty happy with this. This is my character. If I go to my equipment, I can equip items to different slots. Oh, longsword I can't equip because I already have some equipped, but I can unequip, can re-equip there, can add boots, give myself a helmet. All right, so my status screen inventory is working. Super happy with this. We got all our tests passing. The many things that are going on here is the serialization process is a little tricky. So I'd like to try and find a way to do the serial process a little bit better. Let's go look at that real quick. So in item, item's my interface. So one of the challenges is that Unity's serialization system is a little tricky. You can't just serialize anything. You can only serialize essentially primitive types and like arrays and lists of primitive types. So dictionaries don't count, which we're using dictionaries quite a bit. Oh, enums serialize fine too, because those are technically just under the hood little things. But let's say I wanted to serialize my list of requirements. I can't do that. So you can implement this callback. All right, so let's say you want to use, the other ways to do this too. But one of my, and the Unity way, I don't need to do this here. The Unity way, we got this iSerialization callback receiver interface, and this says when something is serialized or deserialized, if you need to do something special, implement this. And if this method is implemented, then before it serializes, it can use it. So for our equipable, that's working. But more importantly, in our inventory, our items, our list of items. So our inventory should be made up of items, and items. An item happens to be an interface. So we can't just say serialize this interface. We have to first convert it to string. So the way I've done that is I've implemented this item to JSON and item from JSON. So I have the static method that knows how to convert it to and from JSON. And then we have this little extra information, this little nugget stored in there where we keep track of sort of the quote unquote class information, armor, weapon, and we select that for deserialization. So it works pretty well. It was a little bit messy to get to this point, but I'm semi happy with it. The one thing that I would like to be able to do, is it would be really cool if we could somehow detect this type T here from this class information using reflection. All right, so we're gonna do, and maybe this is insanity and I shouldn't do this and it's bad. Maybe it's insanity, it's bad, and I shouldn't do it. All right, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna go and we're gonna learn something new today. I'm gonna learn something new today. The idea is we're gonna use some reflection to try and get this going. So anyone who doesn't know what reflection is, if you're new to reflection, new to object-oriented programming, this is something that not all programming languages have, but C# happens to have it, Java has it. I'm not sure if C++ has it. I haven't done reflection in C++, but some languages have this idea of reflection. And what this is saying is we can go in and sort of try and find some information about the system under the hood. So the thing is, JSON utility has this from JSON method, and you have to provide it with some type information to load it. So I can't just do maybe I can do just from JSON. I'm pretty sure I can't do just from JSON here. All right, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I can't do just from JSON here and then convert this to armor. Right. So from JSON, the type argument for the method cannot be inferred from the usage. Try specifying. So it's basically telling me I have to tell it the type. What if I go look at the documentation? From JSON, static T. Oh, I can give it a type. Okay, so we have some idea. I have an idea here. We can give it a type as a second argument, and returns just a generic object here. So if we can determine, interesting, can we pull that back out and then do some kind of magic cast here? All right, Kesavan. Sorry if I pronounced it wrong. Over on YouTube, we got Kesavan. Hi, welcome aboard. Nice to see you, my friend. Welcome. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. But yeah, we're gonna try and do some JSON, some from JSON. Okay, so it looks like one of the options I could do here is I could do type of armor.armor. All right, so this is where the unit tests are gonna come in for me. Type armor.armor, and then let's see if I can cast this to an I item. Thens, happy Friday, Thens over on YouTube. Welcome back. It's nice to see you again, my friend. Nice to see you. How are you doing today? How are you doing? All right, so I'm curious. Let's run my test again. This would be super cool. I think I'm gonna get close here. Run all. Come on, test. Okay, my serialization for my armor still working. And if I'm correct, if I remember correctly, if I go into my serialization test, I'm using I item. Yeah, so I'm using the I item to and from JSON, and it's happy to do that in that way. Tamil over on YouTube. Hey, dude. Happy Friday, my friend. Welcome aboard. Welcome back. I don't know if I recognize your name, but welcome aboard. Welcome back. Nice to see you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. We're trying to do some serialization. Okay, so then my weapon. I'm feeling spicy here. We could do this. Okay, we can do this. I'm getting closer. Let's run my test again. Give me some confidence. Type of. I gotta do type of weapon. Okay. From JSON. Okay. So I can replace it this way. Feel like Yoda over. Type of, you say. Let's run it. Okay. There we go. And so what we can do. Ooh, this is gonna be nice, I think. This is gonna be nice. All right, so I'm gonna keep adding layers of abstraction until I can like squash it down into one thing. What I want to have happen, all right, so what I want to have happen is, cancel, is my serializer needs to, instead of class information, it needs to know the type it gets back. All right, so if I go to my JSON serializer, we're gonna do the following. We're gonna say here, okay, public type. Nope, just type class type get. All right, and we're gonna hack this a little bit here, and this should be a system.type. So let's use using user. So this is a system.type, and we are gonna do the following for now. We're gonna say we're gonna essentially steal this switch here. We're gonna pull this switch out. We're gonna move it into another spot. So we're gonna say switch. We're gonna class information switch. Return, here we go. Return class information switch. We're gonna use pattern matching here. We're gonna say armor. So if class information is armor, we're gonna return type of adventure quest equip editor equipment armor. All right, so that's the type. And if it's weapon, your type of adventure quest equipment weapon. All right, and otherwise we don't know what to do. We're gonna throw an exception. Throw new operation. What is it? Invalid. Throw new system dot invalid operation exception. All right. So this is sort of what we're going to do here. We're going to sort of keep passing the buck off. Passing the buck off until we can figure out what the buck's going on. All right. So we've passed this buck here. And now an I item, what I can do is I believe, because I know I'm returning an I item here. I don't care what the underlying type actually is. We can then say return I item. So we're going to do a cast. We're going to do Unity engine dot JSON utility dot from JSON. We're going to say deserialize this guy, the JSON that's wrapped in there, and the type we're going to use happens to be our serializer dot class type. All right, so we've passed that off. We've passed that off, and we have the class type coming from our serializer. So then there's going to be some trick. We're going to have to figure out how to get the actual type here. Let's run these tests. See if things still work. All right. All right, our tests are still passing. This is a good sign. This is a good sign. So now in our JSON serializer, the question is, Bauzan, welcome back. It's good to see you again. Good morning from me to you, and thank you for the good night from you to me. Happy Friday. So nice to have you back. Some people I know it's already Saturday for some people. People who live in the future. It's already Saturday. All right, so we have found this here. So now the thing is, when we store this information, we would like to be able to get that type information back out. All right. So our JSONable so a JSONable needs to basically have our class information associated with it. So I'm curious here. All right, so using reflection, we gotta look at reflection now. No worries. Yeah, Core, feel free to lurk. You're always welcome to lurk. No problem, no problem. But as always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. And good luck on whatever you're working on. All right, so I need to be able to understand reflection a little bit better. I wonder if I can use this polyglot notebook I have installed. Let's see. Polyglot or notebook. Let's try this. Notebook. Develop. Do I have polyglot notebooks installed? That's exactly right, nobody. So nobody over on YouTube is asking, can you cast a class information as a string, then use that string to redefine it somehow? Yeah, so the idea is this class information is going to be something like the following. So if I go over to my weapon, so this is one of the implementations I'm trying to do. Instead of doing weapon here, I want to do something like type of weapon dot, full name. And I'm hoping I can use that to come back from that, use that information to then use reflection to discover the type using the full name. So I'm hoping to be able to do something like this. I'm not 100% sure if this is what I need or if there's something else. But yeah, that's exactly right, nobody. Odysseus. Sorry, I kept butchering your username there. But yes, that's exactly what we're trying to do. I think do I have polyglot notebooks installed? Polyglot. I don't have polyglot notebooks installed. All right, so we're gonna install polyglot notebooks. This is an excellent tool for doing testing stuff like this. So check this, I hope. I'm not sure if it's gonna work with reflection. I've never used it with reflection. We got polyglot notebook installed now. Polyglot. All right, so we're gonna create a new blank notebook. No problem. Good to know. Create new blank results in an error command. Polyglot notebooks not found. Okay, so I gotta install. Oh, that's a bummer. And then I gotta restart VS Code. All right, so I don't. Okay, I don't have .NET 7 installed on this machine. We're gonna skip this for now. Instead, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna open up my terminal. We're gonna create just like a temporary project. Make dir temp cd temp .NET new console. So we're gonna create a little playground for us to play around with something. But yeah, our goal here is to use reflection, figure out how to use reflection to get the type information from our type. So we have another little program here. And let's create, generate this. Let's create a class, new file, weapon.cs. So the idea is I want to find sort of a weapon class here. So public, let's put it in a namespace. Adventure quest.equipment, public class weapon. And my idea is I should be able to somehow identify this with the class information. All right, so now my program, I'm gonna say using adventurequest.equipment, and let's test this out. Console.writeLine. That looks like if we run this program. So I'm hoping it has adventurequest.equipment.fullname. It does. Adventurequest.equipment.weapon. So it tells us, it gives us the full name to it, including the namespace. So I think we can use reflection to get this type back. So string type string is equal to this. So I'm really curious. Type string is equal to this, and it could be null. So I'm gonna say, I know you're not null, so we're gonna force that. We're gonna ignore that warning. So now I want to use reflection. All right, so we're gonna look over C# reflection get type from string. How to get a class reference from a string. All right, so type.get type. Type T equals type.get type string. All right. And we'll say, I promise you're real. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. Console dot right line t. Ooh, and we can even do better. We can do it a little bit better. We can do t is t equal to type of weapon console dot right line t. Ooh, this is exciting. Yes. Okay, so we can do this. This is how we're gonna do it. We're all right. Moonniz, happy Friday, my friend. Welcome back. Anyone who's not following Moonniz is a real game developer. So please follow Moonniz. I don't know how many people are here, but I'll go ahead and give Moonniz a shout out. Good stuff. Really enjoyed Niz's stream when Moonniz was doing Ludum Dare. Ludum Dare? I'm not sure. I always call it Ludum Dare. But yeah, definitely follow. If you want to watch a real game developer, that's who you follow. Okay, so our class information, if we do it this way, and in fact, I don't even know if we need the class information anymore. Part of me is thinking that we can just, part of me is thinking we don't need it. All right, so let's try this though. So we got our weapon. It's gonna give us our full name here. Yeah, I think I'm pronounced wrong. Gaze Hokage. Welcome back. Nice to see you again. All right, so we got that. Let's go to our armor. We're gonna do the same thing for armor. I think I can get rid of this. I don't think I need the class information anymore. So I'm gonna do type of armor dot full name, because I'm pretty sure I can get the base, the lowest class directly here. I can actually do a thing here where I say JSONable dot get type. I think this will actually give me the lowest most type of a thing. So even if it implements, pretty sure I can do this. We're gonna try this. JSONable dot get type dot full name. I want to see if then we are going to do the following. Return type system.type.get type from class information. Okay. We're going to try this system.type.get type class information. Oh, this is feeling excitable. So we have like this wrapper. We're about to find out. Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. Oh, this is a beautiful day. The reflection's making me happy. All right, so my IJSONable, I don't even need class information anymore. But let's put this back in here. I'm gonna change this to class information 2, just so I can go find all the places where I need to remove it. All right, Unity. Yes, I'm so like, this feels good. So my iEquipable, I can get rid of class information here, and then the other place. Class, oh, not here. And what else implements IJSONable? I guess I could just go find the references. iRequirement. So we would go down to weapon requirement. Okay, so weapon requirement, and we will drop class information here. And then we'll get rid of it here. Oh, this is beautiful. Corpless, welcome back, my friend. Drinking coffee at 10 p.m. That's just a good habit to have, right? It's just a really good habit to have, because then you're able to stay up all night, and then you never have to sleep. Okay. This makes me happy. I am a happy camping bear. Is I basically, this from JSON almost doesn't need to exist from in item anymore. The only reason it needs to exist is so that I can do a cast here like this and pass that type off, but the serializer should have the class type. So part of me, let's do a commit first. Let's do a commit before we get crazy. I think I can go one level higher, and then my interfaces can sort of keep track of themselves as long as they have this IJSONable thing on them. All right, so let's make a commit here. I'm really happy as this. So it's interesting how your brain works. I was sort of like in the weeds a little bit yesterday, not quite sure how to do this, and then I stepped away, and my brain, there's like this thread in the back of my brain juicing, going off, building up this thought process of like, I know I can use reflection to do this. And I know if I had sat there trying to force it yesterday, I eventually would have gotten there. This cool off period where it can sort of process things in the background that is essentially, I solved this in my sleep, right? So I sort of realized, hey, I could do this sort of thing to solve it. All right, similar though, weapon requirement. This is great. This is great. It's called subliming CMIIW. I don't know what CMIIW means. Or is that a typo? But it's so cool. This is one of the reasons I always say, so new programmers, I say, you need to program daily, essentially, or like every other day. Sitting down and doing a 3-hour working session once a week, you're not gonna grow. Correct me if I'm wrong. Gotcha. So doing a 3-hour, if you're learning to program, doing a 3-hour programming session once a week is not gonna be as beneficial as doing, what would that be? 3 1-hour sessions that week. If you did 3 3-hour sessions, probably be more beneficial than doing, 1 3-hour session, right? But 3 1-hour sessions, I think, is going to be far greater, far more beneficial. You're going to get better than if you sit down and do a 3-hour session once a week. So space it out. Daily programming is how you get better. It's all about getting your, part of it's a muscle memory thing. Exactly, Core. There were so many times during Advent of Code the Advent of Code where I stepped away. Like I got all into something and couldn't quite get it. Stepped away and immediately, oh yeah, that's what's going on, and managed to solve it. All right, so this here I did a refactor. Oh, I'm really happy with this. Okay. So work in progress, or refactor. Use reflection to determine type to load via JSON. Use reflection to determine type when deserializing. All right, I'm happy with that. I want to take it one step further. I think I can essentially eliminate this item in the following way. So in my JSON serializer, we're still going to pass this in. I'm going to put this from JSON here. Okay. And you are going to be able to specify the type you want to pull out here. And essentially it's going to try and do this. All right, but instead of T, it's going to do a T here. All right, I think, and I should probably do a try catch here, which basically will be like, hey, if you can't cast it. But I'm 90% sure I can totally eliminate the to and from here. So let's drop this. All right, and have Unity compile, tell us where to look. Where are our errors? So instead, this should be our JSON serializer. Our JSON serializer. And this one should be JSON serializer from JSON. We're going to cast it to an I-equipable. Like that. Okay. And the just like silently fail. The version that I have here will absolutely is going to absolutely item. All right, so the version I have will throw an exception if it's not able to deserialize or deserialize something. And in fact, oh, I don't need this here. In fact, I can actually specify armor here now. But I can specify my interface type here is the biggest thing. Maybe. item does not contain a definition from JSON. Yeah, I know, because I'm using JSON serializer there. All right, come on. Come on. All right, let's run our tests. And the beauty here is that my test still passes. This gives me a lot of confidence that this is going to work in action. If I didn't have these tests here, I'd have no way of really knowing without doing a bunch of manual testing. But having these tests here like saves me, gives me so much confidence that it's working. And so now I've completely eliminated this. And then I can do the same thing in my requirements, I think. Yeah, I don't need this deserialize anymore. So that's gonna cause some more compilation errors. And instead, I'm going to use my JSON serializer dot from JSON, and this is gonna be, what was the type that this was returning? An I requirement. I requirement. All right. Oh, that one. See, look, I broke everything. That one did not work out well for us. Okay. So that one fails, and so that's a little interesting. That this one fails, and it's, oh, I know why. I know why. We're not serializing using the JSON serializer. So the other ones use 2JSON to actually serialize this thing. And so our JSON, when we go to serialize it, when we go to serialize, we're gonna wrap it. All right, so if I were to look at my weapon, for example, weapon, or it's actually in my equipable, I have the JSON requirements being serialized here. What I need to do weapon requirement. Weapon requirement's fine. In my, what did I just change here? I changed my I requirement. All right, this is fine. Change something. I let my brain get help. My friend of mine wants to make a study together session tournament, so I think I'll help him with that first. Of course, Fauzan. Thank you for popping in. So nice to see you. I hope this was helpful. I hope it's useful. And as always, keep coding, keep growing, and you're welcome back. You're welcome back anytime, my friend. Anytime. Here. rather than doing rec as JSON, this needs to be, this is, I need to do a serializer here. So this needs to be JSON serializer.toJSON. That will do it. So I wasn't serializing it with my JSON serializer. Okay. And I almost want to call it like my interface serializer, but it works with things that aren't interface. There we go. All right, that would have been a horrible bug to debug if I didn't have these tests. So write tests. I'm not necessarily saying do test first, but doing write tests is having tests makes your life so much better when you got to do a refactor like this. I am so happy. All right, so this is gonna break though. When I go to run, my character's not gonna load properly. Yeah, character's not gonna load properly. You know, I will Google up JSON serializer for fun now. I'm sure there's lots. This is my own custom, like, you know, JSON serializer. Let's go back to our character creator. We gotta create a new character here. All right, while I'm doing this, if anyone wants to give me some name suggestions for the character we're about to create, let me go ahead and post them in the chat now if you'd like to name this character. Let's try and get some good stats on 81, no good. Gotta get 90 or bust, right? 50 was brutally low. All right, 90. Come on. The worst part is I'm gonna click past it here. Give me a green. 93. All right, we do have a little bug here. 93 plus 10 on my stats. That's a good roll. Look how, well, maybe. Very well. It's not bad at anything, not amazing at anything. All right, any suggestions for a name for our character here? If not, I'm gonna name him. Last call for names. All right, Jason Shibulbington Higasu. Perfect. All right. This guy looks like a Jason. Create. Boom. All right, so we've got our character. Let's go check it out in our... Let's see if that works in our status now. All right, status. Load them up. Oh, no. There we go. Jason Shablington Hikasu's inventory. So this is a good sign. This is informing me that I need to probably have a limit on how many letters we can use there. Or let's try something real quick. I bet if I go into my inventory prefab. All right, let's go into my inventory prefab. Here's what I'm gonna try. Because I think it's this name thing here. I think I can make it auto scale the text size if it gets too big. Character inventory. Go to my scene here. Find this name. All right, so I think text test runner too big. We have a auto size. There we go. We're gonna use auto size, and we will set the minimum size. The maximum size to 64. All right, so we're gonna go in and we're gonna update that here. But that's what we can do in our inventory prefab. We're gonna say the name, auto size, and max size is 64, like that. All right. So let's try this again. So if you decide to have a long name, there we go. Jason Jason's inventory. All right. There we go. Beautiful. We got our equipment. Give him a dagger. Let's give him leather boots. Let's exit. So when we exit, it should save them. All right. Then when we load this up, I go back to my equipment, and they're fully equipped. That was interesting. Oh, I know what's going on. If I go into... I don't know why they had all of that equipment actually, but I do know that in our character controller, we are equipping them with some stuff. We equip them with these things. Rave, here we go again. Happy Friday, my friends. Great stream last night. It's nice chatting with you. Anyone who doesn't follow Rave, Rave here is an amazing artist. Super fun streams to watch Rave. Rave's building a space trucking game. It's so good. It's so good. Let's see if we can go look at... I don't know if Rave has VODs, but let's go look at some of Rave's stuff, because, man, Rave has some cool stuff going on. Look at... Alright, here we go. We're gonna go... Look at... This was just so cool. This... He's done these 3D models here. Look how cool this is. It has like this cool spray, like, oh, I love what you're doing here. It makes me want to do 3D modeling so much. Honestly, Rave, it makes me be like, all right, I'm hoping Rave and I can do a game jam together. That's really how I'm feeling. I want to do a game jam because I'm no artist, and you can make some really cool stuff. So something to look forward this summer. I would love to do a game jam with you, because I never do 3D stuff because I'm too afraid of it. I'm too afraid of 3D stuff. I'm not good at it. The quote unquote coolest 3D thing I've done is this game over here. Let's go look. Flippin' Quick. I decided I want to make a 3D game. All right, so this is a game. Let's see how we can do here. Let me turn my stream music off real quick, because this game is cool. People hated this game, so this was there's a live. If you want to go back and watch a live stream of how I made this game, this is a game. The theme of this was Flip. I think the theme was Flip. Game for TriJam number 149. So here's some stuff, but the theme was Flip, or something. So I was like, this will be interesting. So the idea is your character can move left and right, and the character flips, and you can sort of go around the edge there, but you have to be fast. All right, so you have 5 seconds to get to the end. If you hit a skeleton, you get a little bit of bonus time, and if you hit spikes, you die. All right, so if you collect coins too, when you collect coins, you can buy some flippin' upgrades. All right, so you can use that to get more time, get more bonus time from the skeletons. You can go to the last stage. Let's see if we can... My keyboard's a little crazy. You can also do backflips. You can do backflips. But yeah, you can come back to levels to collect coins that you missed. So you got 3 out of 11 coins here. Let's see if we can get all of the skeletons and coins here. Not quite, but let's go to the next flipping level. And I set it up so that the levels sort of are designed to get randomly harder. Oh, too slow. All right, let's try again. People hated this. I did so bad. People could not... There aren't really a whole lot of instructions. It's a little bit too slow. It's a little bit too... It's not a little bit too slow. I'm a little bit too slow. I've managed to make like level 30 on this though. But yeah, Flippin' Quick. If anyone wants to check that out, post a link to it here. But anyway, Rave, what I was saying is, yeah, I'm terrified of trying to even make anything 3D. So I'd love to team up with you. I'd love to team up with you this summer when I have more free time, of course, and do some cool game jam. All right. And what's interesting is their equipment's not showing up, and I think why it's not... Well, now it's showing up. Oh, it didn't show up. I don't know why it didn't show up. Now it's showing up. All right, hang on. If I were to change this, so we gave him a dagger, long sword, leather boots, chainmail. Oh, it tries to... So it's like sort of combining what they had before plus what I'm doing here. All right, so if I were to just turn off this reinitialize character, so on my character controller, this was sort of an escape hatch I built in that allows me to sort of reinitialize the character. This should... Now I think we should have the saved version. My goodness. All right, let's try this. We'll exit. When we exit, it should save. All right. I guess I gotta write a test for this. There we go. So it does remember what we had equipped. But we can get a chain helmet, leather armor, cloth pants. Let's get that long sword equipped. There we go. Now we're ready to go. Ready to go on an adventure. I'm feeling really, really good about this. Let's get a commit in here one more time. Did a little bit more of a refactor. But I'm really happy with all the things I'm learning about how the Unity serialization works, and then also discovering sort of this way that is like, okay, well, we can serialize these interfaces under the hood if we sort of wrap them a little bit, and then we don't have to put in like all this effort. We don't have to use like Newtonsoft's JSON serializer, which when I tried to use it was just so slow and painful. And this has been the loads are fast on this. So I'm really, really happy with how fast the loads are. All right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so let's look at this, make sure nothing crazy. Switch using that. That was able to get rid of the from JSON there, so now we just use our JSON serializer. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm very, very happy. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Add all this in. Is my scene saved? Not so saved. There we go. Add everything. We're going to do feet. And we just implement generalized JSON serializer. All right. All right. Boom. We got it. Oh, I didn't do a sign on today. No one yelled at me for not doing a sign on. Oh, that's all right. I kind of knew what I wanted to do. Sign on. Term goal is because I just sort of finished my care. Okay. All right. So sign on. Bad. Did not sign on first. Core was too excited that I gave them mod abilities, and then Core failed me. No, Core, it's fine. I appreciate. Bad did not sign on first. One rework serialization done, finished before I made a sign on. All right, so I got to rework the serialization, which I'm really, really happy about. But let's go look at my to-do list. Here, Core. Oh, the sad face. That's the saddest emoji. The saddest of emojis. To do. So I'm really, really happy. We did that. We got that. Okay, so eye equipment should. Oh, okay. On a serious note, I'll be okay. I'm good. I'm glad you'll be okay, my friend. I never wanted to hurt you. You know, what's that song? Journey. Is it Journey? I never meant to be so bad to you. Do. I did the things I thought I'd never do. Don't. Please, no one. Someone correct me. I'm sure it's not Journey. I don't know. I need equipment manifest to return eye result. Equipment needs to be better serialized. All right, we got real quote unquote real serialization, better serialization. Eye equipment manifest needs to return an eye result rather than the bool. Okay. As your follower alert when someone follows, I never meant to be so bad to you. Oh, thank you for reminding me to turn that music back on, Muniz. I appreciate it. That's a good follower noise. I should set up more stream stuff. When I get followers, it doesn't actually do any sort of alerts. I'm sure people would appreciate it if I had that set up. Okay. So if nothing else, we can do this, but part of me wants to start, okay, I need to go to add transition from town hub to status screen. All right, so we need to add a transition from the town hub to the status screen. And this is gonna make me really want to work on my scene transition manager. All right, so then 3, begin work on scene transition manager. All right, so that's what I'm gonna do, scene transition manager. So we're gonna do primary goal here, primary goal. All right, current primary goal, implement scene transition manager. So we're gonna toss this down in here into our list of ever-growing, never-ending to-dos. Shop needs to be serializable. Not sure if this is true anymore. I guess if we wanted to have different shops, we might want to make it serializable. We're not sure. Consider a character equipment manifest becoming an equipment manifest and removing the character argument. This needs to happen, but the thing I'm working on here is, yeah. Ooh, we've done this. We can get rid of this one. Add an armor shop, add a healer, add potions, add usables. On equipment manifest. Yeah, I'm still, thank you, Core. Thank you for reminding me. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I'm doing today. Primary goal. You're correct. You're correct. I appreciate you holding me accountable. Implement scene transition manager to serialize / to better manage scene transitions. Implement scene transition manager to better manage scene transition. Perfect description. Consider generalizing the eye character inspector to work with anything that has as Jason. I'm really excited about this one too. All right, so we're gonna pull out this one here. Like that, yeah. So I guess the real thing is sort of begin work on scene transition manager. You know, we don't know what we don't know. So we're gonna figure out what we know, what we need to know to be able to do it. Don't know what you don't know. I have on this as well, but we're gonna go with our primary goal for today. It's here. All right. And so we're gonna start by adding a transition from the town hub to the status screen so that we can talk about the smell that exists right now, and then we can use that to sort of give our, you know, give ourselves a direction on how this transition manager should work. So that's our sign on for today. All right, our late sign on for today. So we're gonna do number 2, and then I gotta get some more coffee. I'm running low here. Been going for just over an hour now. But we're gonna need a little bit more coffee, because you know what they say, if you wanna be a winner, you gotta fuel like a winner. I feel like if you want to be a programmer, you gotta fuel like a programmer. There was there's some letter, I think it was Oxford University back in the 60s. Bring out the whiskey news. Moon News says there was some letter, I should find it, that the math department at Oxford, this one like computer science was like sort of budding, but the math department wrote a letter of complaint saying the computer science department was drinking all of the tea. Oxford complaint, computer science tea. Computer science drinking all of the tea. I gotta find this. Complaints and academic appeals with the department. They need, go to bed, stop staying up so late. So it's like historically people who are programmers just get obsessed. I'm gonna find it. I remember in undergrad they had us read the letter. It probably wasn't Oxford, it was probably some other university, but it deems true. So if you wanna be a programmer, you gotta feel like a programmer. All right, let's go to our town hub. Me and my insomnia. All right, let's actually submit this. Chore, add items to to-do list. Good work, Goblin. Happy Friday. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow. Good work, Goblin. Do not hesitate to ask questions, participate, and we're in this together. We're in this learning journey together. We're trying to figure out how to write components for an RPG. Happy Friday the 13th. That's right. I'm trying not to scare anyone. All right, good work, Goblin. We're trying not to scare anyone. But yes, it is Friday the 13th. Very spooky, very spooky. Happens twice a year. Most years, twice a year. Some years I think it happens only once. But most years it's twice a year. But excellent. Tell us about your RPG. Do you happen to have a demo you can share with us? It's true. Coffee does have an HTTP protocol. HTTP coffee protocol. That's true. The coffee protocol. Yes, the coffee protocol. It's very important. Brew, post, get, prop, find. Yeah, this is good. The 418, I'm a teapot, and the 406, not acceptable. Those are good stuff. The hypertext coffee pot control protocol. Beautiful. All right, Corphless. If I'm not here, have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful time. All right, so this button, let's rename this. This button should actually be weapon shop. But we're gonna add another button here, and this one's gonna be status screen. And so we'll change the text on this to say status. And let's go ahead and move that. Oh no. Move that up here, and we'll move Wilfrid's weapons over here. All right, so the status button, this is gonna transition us to our status screen. So town hub controller, yikes. We need our town hub controller to have sort of a status screen option on it. So let's edit the script. And this is gonna show us sort of the problem that we have, that is our, our code smell. It's not tasty code. It's a code smell. It's stinky. It sucks. We hate it. Status screen. So anytime we switch scenes, we sort of need to like save our character state using this store thing. And then we have to basically pass this string. I love this. I love the smell of code in the morning. So in this case, we'd put status here. So this is how we would do it. But it's a little bit annoying and very error prone here, of like, oh, I gotta tell it that I gotta store this and I have to pass a string. What if I give it the wrong string? So we should sort of try to create a tool to manage this for us. And this feels like maybe it feels like a good time to create a singleton. Singletons are a little scary sometimes, but I think this might be a good use of a singleton. All right, so we might talk about the singleton pattern a little bit here, and I think there's like better ways to do it. So I'm gonna talk about how I typically implement it, and then it might actually be that we want a better. Let's make this button pivot from the top here. We'll make this status screen pivot from the top. So not so pro tip, in Unity, when you're doing layouts, it's one of the most painful things. This anchor and positioning, if you click on this, it tells it where we're gonna anchor from. If you hold down Shift, it actually sets the anchor as well as the position. So notice when I hold Shift, a little dot shows up. So this tells me, okay, well, when I'm anchoring it to this position here, use that corner. So a little thing that I didn't know existed, but I hope will help other people. Good Work Goblin says, my RPG is a semi-autobiographical comedy about chavs. No demo yet, maybe 2 months. Yours looks rad though. Thank you, thank you. Mine is essentially non-components of an RPG. So I'm teaching a class on Unity, and so I thought it'd be nice to have my students learn like how to build different components. We have like a drag and drop system. We have a store system. We have like a character creator system. But yeah, a little pro tip here. When you're setting these in Unity, you can also add the anchor so you don't have to manually do it. And then Alt also sets the position so we can actually, if you hold down Alt, say like move yourself there or stretch yourself out. But we'll undo that because we manually set those. But yeah, Shift sets the pivot, Alt sets the position. So some nice little things to have. Little quick notes to know about the tool. Let's look here. We got our status screen. That didn't work. So I forgot in my town hub controller, instead of going to my town hub, I need to call my enter my status screen method. All right, here we go. Let's try again. I have not tried the new UI system. Status cannot be loaded because it's not in my build. All right, another pro tip. You can only transition to scenes that happen to be in your build. So let's go to our status here, and we're gonna add this here. All right, so now we should be able to transition between these. I haven't tried the new UI system. I'm not sure. I guess I wasn't even sure that there was a new UI system, unless you're talking about sort of like the Text Mesh Pro stuff. But no, I'm not aware. All right, so if we're in the town, we can go to our status screen. Beautiful. No, I had not heard of a CSS-based one. No, I hadn't. So then I can exit. We go to Wilfred's Weapons. So now we could potentially buy some new stuff. All right, that's cool. That's cool. Let me sell my dagger. Now I really want my weapon shot so I can drag and drop things between these, and you can't. So I'm gonna add that to my to-do here. UI toolkit. Is that part of the Muniz? Do you know if that's like comes built into Unity 2022? I'm curious because I'm using Unity 2021, so I wasn't even aware of it. Is it like the default in 2022, or is it like built in? I'm curious. Weapon, add, drag and drop, buy and sell to weapon shop or to shop. Okay. So I can sell my dagger. Got 1 gold for my dagger. Man, I can't afford a battle axe. All right, let's enter some cheats. Cheat mode. Let's give myself a little bit more gold. I want to buy this battle axe. Give me. So one little thing that's like annoying. Now I got to return to town. Go to my status screen. So it's not the most pleasant experience to user friendly here, but now I can equip this battle axe. Exit my status screen, go back to my weapons, sell my longsword. I'll take it. Boom, return to town. All right, this is cool. This is cool. You can actually do some stuff now here. All right, so but we're gonna work on our scene transition manager. All right, so we want a scene transition manager. So what does that mean? I think maybe it's not a singleton because you may want to be able to transition to different from so the transitions will be different in the transitions will be different from the types of transition you can access from town will be different than the types of transition you can access from the status screen. But we're gonna get started here. What have I changed? All right, progress. Chore add transition button to add transition town to status. All right. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. I wanted to start doing feature branches. All right, so I wanted to start doing feature branches. I've just been committing everything to develop. So we're gonna start doing a feature branch so that we can learn about how to do squash merges and like focus on a feature. All right, so our primary goal is to implement that one. All right, so let's make sure we're up to date. Git push, git pull. I'm gonna create a new branch. This is gonna be a feature branch. All right, so I'm gonna create a feature branch, and this branch is gonna be called Scene Transition Manager. And the idea is I'm gonna focus just on that one feature, and when I'm done, I can merge that back into my develop branch with that change. So if you were working on a team, you wouldn't want everyone to work on the development branch together, because you'll end up with like all sorts of commit conflicts. You'll have to pull all sorts of stuff. So you should almost only have one author working on a branch at a time. In general, that's a good idea. And then you would create what's called a pull request, and we'll get there. I'll show us how to do a pull request once I'm done with this branch into your develop branch. Have someone do some review, and then you do a squash merge that will take all of the commits you had and reduce them down to, you know, a single commit, or you might go through and squash them yourself into like some more grouped together commit. All right, so we're gonna go to our Scene Transition Manager branch. And the idea with this is we're gonna focus directly on adding a scene transition, or how we manage transitioning between scenes. Okay, so in this case, in my assets, this is gonna be a controller. All right, and we're gonna create a new folder called scene. So this is gonna be related to our scenes. Oh, there was a little conversation about making UI via CSS feels awful to me. I have yet to learn it. It's a necessary evil in many ways, but yeah, CSS can be finicky, but it can be kind of powerful in some ways too. I'd be scene. All right, scenes. So we're gonna create a sort of static class here called scenes, which is gonna have our labels for our scenes, so that we're no longer doing stringly typed. So one of the things I really hate is, so in my character builder controller over on YouTube, nobody says, so nobody's the name of the user. Nobody says CSS is the devil. CSS is the devil. I don't know if that's entirely true, but CSS is finicky. These stringly type things, we want to get rid of that. So we're gonna create a namespace, adventure quest dot scene. As long as you remember that C stands for cascade and it's straightforward. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's just gaining a deep understanding, not even a deep understanding, but understanding how the it nests together. Yeah, so the cascading part is the part that gives a lot of people trouble, including myself. Public static class scenes. All right, so we're gonna create scenes here. We have a couple scenes. Can I do a const on string? Public const string town. Can I do this? I can. All right, so we're gonna have a bunch of constants in here that are sort of like our scene names. So public const string town. And so if we change this in the code in our universe, we can change it everywhere. So the idea we should never use the string on its own. We should use the essentially this is like an enumerated type, not quite an enumerated type. Public const string, and maybe we should make it an enumerated type. Maybe we should make it an enumerated type. Can I do string as a enumerated type? C# string enum. So I've seen enums with strings. I'm not sure if I can make string enums in C#. Doesn't. I know the following is not possible because the enumeration type has to be an int. Okay. Enum to string. Yeah, I think. Okay. Yeah. We are not going to use an enum. We're going to use just this string type here. All right, public string status public const string character creator public const string shop. Okay, so these are the scenes that we can go to. Oh, I don't like that we take a string. Instead, I do think I want to make it a type. I think I do want to make it a type that is sort of private. But I need to be careful about using the word scene. Reusing the class name scene. So the problem is it's stringly typed, and I don't want it to be stringly typed. I would really like a record type here. All right, so we're gonna call this public not public. I want something like the following. I want to have a private class scene. So I want this class that no one can make, and maybe it should be public. And it's in this namespace, and so the problem is I don't want to call it scene because it will conflict with the Unity type scene. All right, so conflicting with the Unity type scene is a bad idea. And I want it to have a sort of private constructor. And then we have specific, in this class is where we define the scenes. Maybe I call it adventure quest scene. I don't, that bothers me a little bit. Let's make this just not a adventure quest scene. If anyone has a good idea for a name, so this is like a scene specific to the Adventure Quest game. And it's not the Unity scene, so it's like the abstract concept of a scene in Unity, in Adventure Quest. Location might be good, but what I want then is we have a private. So it has so we have a private Adventure Quest scene like this. All right, and the scene is going to take in the like name like this, and so we'll have a public string name get like this. And oh, these are some decent. I like location seems pretty good. Okay, location seems pretty good. Room seems almost good. Stage seems pretty good. Window location, level, room, area. Depends on you include. Yeah, I like location. We'll go with location for now. So we're gonna go Adventure Quest. Scene, and maybe my namespace should be location instead. But we have like a location. So this is where we current. All right, I like location. I think I really like a location. And so then we're gonna say that name equals name, and the method we'll have is gonna be public void transition, and we're gonna accept. This method could potentially accept some parameters on well, what information do I need about the shop to go there? So this is going to be able to essentially take in some like a location transition, options, parameter. All right, so we have transition here. And the basic part of transition, so instead of these being constants, they're going to be public, static, read only, location. Town is going to be a new location town like this. And since it's private, no one can make these except for me. Don't touch my things. This will ensure that I don't, not ensure, but it gives me fewer places to have a string, a bug related to typing a string wrong. All right, so location. Thank you everyone for your suggestions. Location, I think I like. So I'm gonna new like this. Public static. There we go. And then public static read only location. New like this. All right, so we have all of these locations, and our transition essentially is going to store our character and then load the scene like this. So load the scene town, or not town, load scene name. So we have our scene's name like that, so we can know when we do the transition. Yeah, so that's the whole point, is we're getting rid of those magic strings. That's the idea, Smab. Isolating them here, so that way, so there's like, yeah, exactly, Smab. The whole idea is we're trying to fix that smell, that magic string smell. Do you think, so I'm curious, Smab, do you think these right here are these magic strings? I'm trying to isolate that string into a single place. And right now we have a lot of magic, with these smelly magic stringly type things floating around. But yeah, my idea here is to isolate them into a single spot, and then write a test that basically says, okay, are all of my locations, do those actually exist as a scene asset in my world? What we can't, you'd make these strings constant. So I can't make my location constant. So you would make the names constant first. That's okay. So I like that, actually. So let's rename this real quick. Location. Well, so good work, Goblin. My plan is that my transitions, I need to sometimes specify additional information, and I have to do a little bit more than just transition. So I think that I was going to do the string names first, but it felt like I wasn't going to have quite enough to do it, because my transition would still accept a single string. My transition would still accept a single string, which would let me put anything in there. And so this prevents me from accepting a single string. So in fact, this might be a static methods transition that accepts a location, but I feel like maybe this isn't. It allows me to sort of subclass my locations. This is probably going to be a virtual that says, when I subclass this, if I need to do something special, I can create a subclass of the character creator scene that does something special. Nobody over on YouTube. I don't know why. I'm assuming the chat bot removed that. It wasn't anything bad. So don't worry. I'm sorry if that message if you got timed out or something. I apologize for that. I need to reduce the annoyingness of that. I like that though, Smab. So I'm gonna come here. I'm actually scenes. I do like that a lot, having that static class. So we're gonna do the two-prong approach here. Namespace scenes. And we actually do have a public static class scenes. And this will have our consts here like this. Nobody, I think it's gonna stop you again. Let me know if it public static string, public const string town. Yeah, I think I could do something like that. I think you're right. I like this. And again, this might be a little overkill, but the idea is this helps. We're always trying to say, how are we managing the complexity? And sometimes you're over managing complexity. You know, when we go back to the original weapon, you know, the original equipment system that I had planned was going to be like, you can have a weapon and armor and that's it. There's nothing else. And we have grossly, in my opinion, grossly over-engineered it. We have grossly over-engineered it. So this would be scenes.town. Oh no, I clicked X. I was just trying to click the minimize, not minimize, but the non-full screen button. Let's go back to our scripts here. All right. Reload. Scene manager does not exist in the current context. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Did not let me. Ooh, so this needs to sort of take in the current character, character, or player character. So this is indicative that our transition needs to tell us a little bit more information. All right, it doesn't want to let me do that. All right, let's go back in time just a second here. Town. Using Unity engine.scene management. Get rid of our compilation errors if we can. There we go. All right, so now I think if we are in the same namespace, I couldn't read that scene. Scenes.town. Scenes.status. This is a great Smab. This is you're absolutely right. This is the way to do it. Not necessarily the way to do it. It's a way to manage it a little bit better. Although at the end of the day, when you call this name thing, you get it back anyway. So I don't know if this is actually much better. But in case you're referring to it directly, that could be helpful. All right, so now the idea is I want to replace, now I know though, so here's the thing, now I know when I go to do a transition, I essentially know that, oh, hey, I need to tell it which player character, so I can't accidentally. So before, I could accidentally, love a bit of classic over-engineering, yeah. I could accidentally forget to do this before, where I do my player character.store. Now it's essentially still could do it by calling scene manager directly, but now it's much harder to accidentally do that. So if I do, and we're going to import it here, I should hopefully be able to get rid of this scene management and instead use adventure quest.scene. All right. And then here I do location dot. All right, so the idea is this is going to be like our transition options. So I'm not sure if just the character is enough. So I think we're going to need a little bit more information. For example, when we transition to shop, we want to know which shop we're going to. It's not just the shop. We're able to do various different shops. And so our shop transition is going to accept different parameters. All right, so location.town.transition there. So I want to remove my scene manager everywhere I was using it. So let's do a quick search, scene manager. All right, so that's the one, this is the one place I want to isolate all of my external uses of the scene manager to my location class. Okay, and so right here, exit shop becomes, that's interesting, I have target scene. Exit shop just becomes, and we're gonna replace this real quick up here. Let's get my split. We want to get rid of this, and instead of using adventure quest.scene, right? And then this sort of becomes location.town dot transition player character, and this is still a little bit bad that I'm casting it here. So that's another little smell I'm having. Consider starting a player character rather than a character. Let's leave this to do here. Okay. And status screen, close status screen, is gonna essentially just using. That's a good question. Good work, Goblin. I'm, as of right now, the answer is, well, we always need the player character with us, right? So that's like sort of who you are. The idea that I'm gonna do, so I'm doing like slow refactors as I go, because again, trying not to be too over-engineered. The idea that I have is that instead of accepting a player character here, this is gonna accept like a transition object. Right, so it's going to be some sort of transition object, like a transition parameter or transition information object that we pass in. And so if we need it to take a character, we pass that character in, right? But it's going to be potentially, it'll have some checks on that says like, oh, if there's a player character here, we should save it. And we could probably have some like default stuff. But for now, all of my transitions, this is what they do. So I'm trying to refactor it to use that. But yeah, excellent question. Excellent question. But yeah, transition properties class is essentially what my plan is. But I want to go through and refactor this like sort of one step at a time. Location dot town dot transition. Oh, see, check it out right here. Oh, okay, so that's what's going on here. Fascinating. Fascinating here. I'm doing something different, right? My character controller, I know I have a character controller. All right, so we're gonna break that. We're not gonna wrap it like this quite yet. Rather than store character. So using adventure quest. Nobody over on YouTube. I'm curious, are you retracting those, or is my bot stopping you from posting them? Because it's hard for me to tell. I'm just curious. It says retracted message. I missed whatever you posted. And the idea here is that we do location dot town. And what's interesting here is I know that the status screen is probably gonna need to track where we came from. Oh, okay, so you're removing it because it got answered. Gotcha. Gotcha. So you were manually doing it. Good. Transition. Can I get the character? There's a store character. Let's go look at the character controller. Character controller. I need to be able to get my character, so I don't need the store character anymore. No references to it. But it has an observable character. So I think I can change this. Exactly, Goblin works. And so we'll have like this is where like the transition manager needs to sort of have like breadcrumbs, sort of, so to speak. It sort of needs to have a stack of like locations that we're visiting. This is why like the idea of having a status screen as a location, the name's a little bit wrong. So but we might end up adding something that's sort of, instead of a location, sort of encapsulates the idea of sort of a status screen that will have a different set of, when we transition to the status screen, we sort of need to keep track of where we came from, so that when we come back, there's sort of like this properties you pass in, and it says, okay, well, this was the context of that. So we might end up with like a location static method here that's sort of like return, and it says go back to whatever scene was the one prior to this one. I want to make this player character a property. So we're gonna do player character. All right, this, I need to be able to access this outside of here. So we're gonna make this a property. The order here, the observed character should be up here. Okay. And now here, I can do this. And again, this feels bad that I'm casting it this way. All right. I'm gonna do the following: player character equals, just to make it, it's just a nasty line like that. But again, this should have sort of this to do rather than the town scene. All right, so I think that's sort of what we want to, this idea here is like, it shouldn't necessarily be directly from the status screen, is going to need to be able to go from whence we came, right? That's the idea. All right. Enter shop becomes location.shop transition character. Using adventure quest.scene, and this becomes location.status.transition character. All right, so we've refactored all of those out, which is good. I'm almost out of coffee. I'm basically out of coffee. I've been out of coffee for the last 25 minutes, which is okay. It's okay. We'll survive. All right, let's test this. Sadly, I don't have any play tests that like verify my transition, so I should potentially consider how to write some I should add some play mode tests, I think. But let's make sure none of these tests broke. Yeah, I didn't think they would. one of the things that I want to do is in my location, I actually want to make sure that all these, I'm gonna write a test that basically is able to identify if any of these locations are not real scenes in the like build properties. All right, let's see if we broke anything. So here's the sad part. Now I'm manually testing whether or not I broke stuff, and I don't know. I don't actually have a lot of confidence that it works. I have some confidence, and as my program gets bigger, I get sort of essentially less and less confidence that things are working. All right. Oh, I wanted to buy something and then make sure it is saving properly. Yeah, I have my short sword here. Okay. Another thing I want to add in my to-do is when I click on things in my inventory. Let's add that to a to-do real quick. To-do. Transition Manager is a little bit easier than I thought it would be to get in there. There's a lot more stuff I could do with it. But I think we kind of need this idea of a blood properties there, but in our inventory, I should leave this to do. I hate how it's activating some extension. It takes it a minute for my keyboard to work when I first open this markdown. I don't know why. Command markdown extension on enter key not found. It drives me nuts. All right. It's not even like this is a crazy markdown file. If it was bigger, I would be less annoyed by it. Add item information to status/inventory. When clicking on item, should get information about that item. So right now, similar to shop. Right now in the shop is the only place that works, and it really shouldn't be specific to the shop. It should sort of be, a little bit anywhere, I think. So we need this idea of like a message dialog that can manifest itself into any scene where necessary. So I'm going to commit this. I just went through and refactored references I removed the scene manager from every place and replaced it with my new location. All right. So that's essentially my commit message here. So we're going to add this, and it's going to be a feature. Implement adventure quest.scene.location, and then we'll add a little message, a little bit more description. So this is like the summary, and then we're going to say created a location class to manage scene transitions, refactored, and then we refactor engine.scene manager to use the location class transition behavior for serializing player between scenes. Okay, as we get more complex, there's going to be more things we need to serialize. So I think we just sort of have this idea of a transition information. All right, so we added that, and we'll publish the branch real quick. We're not going to create a pull request yet. Instead, I want to go back and I want to actually define sort of like a location transition class, and this is going to accept a transition properties interface. All right, so we're going to have a transition property. I think maybe the interface is overkill for it, but iTransition. Yeah, so an iTransition. Ooh, this is interesting. iTransition properties. namespace adventure quest dot scene. I keep saying I'm gonna get coffee, and then I keep starting something new. Public interface, hide transition properties. Okay, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna get started on it. I need to get myself a little bit more coffee here. Get myself a little bit more water. Really what I need is water. I'm out of water. And I need to make sure that I'm getting around and moving a little bit. So we're at a minute. Sorry, not a minute 54. We're at an hour. I've been streaming for an hour and 50-ish minutes. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm hoping 60 to 90 seconds. 60 to 90 seconds. But I will be back. Yeah, it's coffee time, G. G, I don't know if this is your first time chatting. I'm sorry if I missed you earlier, but welcome back. Welcome back, G. Nice to see you. A minute 54, time to take a break. Exactly. All right, so we're going to take a break. I'm going to get myself a little bit more coffee, a little bit of water. I'm going to come back. We're going to do some stretching. So get yourself ready. Get yourself ready to do some stretching with me if you haven't. If you need it, and the answer is everyone needs to stretch a little bit. But I'll be back. Get yourself situated to stretch with me, and I'll see you in a moment. Alrighty, I am back here. I've got piping hot butterscotch toffee coffee black. No cream, no sugar. It's how I have it. But your way, I'll like my coffee my way. And I got a full 16-ounce bowl of water here. Keep me hydrated. To counteract the effects of the coffee, I have some water. All right, so we're gonna do a quick stretch here. Not too long. I'm gonna do a calf stretch and a quad stretch. So yesterday was my leg day. Anyone who's been watching for a while knows that I am currently in the process of doing a 30-day, is what I am calling a brutal, oh, that calf stretch is good, a brutal 30-day prep workout. All right, so my partner, she wants to do a flipping class. So, well, no, flipping class where she learns how to do flips. She wants to do a flipping class. And beforehand, they have you do a 30-day leg, core, upper body workout. It's a brutal leg workout. Yesterday was leg day. Today is core day. Saturday is upper body day. So you have one upper body day a week, 2 leg days, and 2 core days. So yesterday was leg day. So we're stretching our calf out here. You don't have to stretch your calves out, but I hope you're stretching with me. I hope you're getting that blood flow moving again. All right, so I got this calf stretch going. Just hit 30 seconds. I'm gonna switch to my other calf. Do another calf stretch here. Formal Goose adding the task unit testing. What are you unit testing, my friend? And it's so nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Formal Goose, how are things going, my friend? This calf stretch feels great. I hope everyone else is feeling great with their stretch, or maybe you're just yawning. Give your lungs a stretch with a nice yawn. Get some breathing going in. All right, some API work. This is for your mobile app, or is this a different one? Oh, that's good. That's good. Stretch out that quad here. Let's see if I can get that leg up. Oh, well, there it is. Got a quad stretch for 30 seconds. All right. Oh, it's work, not personal work. Oh, gotcha. Real work. I remember when my real work, I guess my real work is kind of programming. But I remember when my work was writing software for other people. Essentially, I write all the code stuff I write is for me. All right. 7 more seconds on this quad stretch here, and then we're gonna switch legs. All right. Oh, there we go. Switching to my right quad here. We're gonna do 30 seconds on our right quad. Then we'll do a little bit of shaking it out and do some shoulder rolls next. If you're at work, be the person that encourages your coworkers to stretch it out. It's amazing how much better you can feel. Stretching gives you a nice little morale boost. All right. And if you're not stretching with me, that's okay too. I still love you. Thanks for hanging out. It's been fun. Streaming is super fun. It's been nice having people to hang out with in the morning here when I wake up and code. All right, there we go. Ooh, that felt good. All right, so I'm gonna shake out my hands here real quick. Get back to it. Do a couple shoulder rolls like that. Oh, reverse it. Other side. Oh, and then back. All right, and we're back to it. We're gonna keep going here for maybe another hour, maybe an hour and a half. Probably not a full 2 hours. So Friday is my back-to-back teaching day. All right, so it's my back-to-back teaching day. Normally I don't have 2 classes back-to-back. Normally I have a class in the morning and a class in the afternoon. Friday's back-to-back, so I need a little bit extra time to prep. In that regard, so I sort of have to prep 2 classes and then just go for it. So we're gonna go for an hour. Normally I stream for 4-ish hours, but today we're gonna try and do 3. We're gonna try and stop at 3. So we're gonna go for another hour and a half. See where we get. Okay, so the transition properties is going to. Part of me is like, well, maybe this should just be called a transition, right? And so transition sort of takes in how we're going to transition. Oh, I know I don't have to do for it. I want to do for it. I've been enjoying doing it. Sometimes people are creatures of habit. I don't want anyone to be disappointed. I'm prepping you for your disappointments now. Great stream, brilliant communication. I got to get back to work. I usually tip, but when I leave, but I can't seem to. Yeah, I'm not an affiliate. No, nothing. No need to tip. No need to tip here. Just thanks for coming and hanging out. I don't do this for anything except my own satisfaction. Good work, Goblin. Thanks for joining us. As always, keep coding, keep growing, and you're welcome back anytime. Take care, my friend. Yeah, if you're just lurking, there's nothing wrong with lurking. There's nothing wrong with lurking. I tend to lurk myself. So no, nothing to, you're not apologizing, nothing to apologize for, but you're always welcome to lurk. So in our transition properties though, the things we need to know is essentially should I save a character? And if so, what character should I save? So I'm going to say public player character. So we're going to have a player character. And I'm going to make this a nullable player character, I think. And the thing is, it's like, if the player character happens to be null, we're not going to serialize it. I think that's what I want. Well, I don't know what other transition properties we're gonna need yet. So I don't even know if I need to implement this yet. The one thing that might, so our transition manager should essentially have like a stack of where we have come from, so we can like always go back, I think. All right, so okay. All right, I know what I want to do. I want to write a test. That has nothing to do with transition properties. It has everything to do with location. So I want to ensure that all the locations that I have happen to be things that are part of my build. So to do this, I need this idea. So I want a public static. All right, so we're gonna start with a private static. Private static read-only list of location, all locations. So the idea is we have a list of all of our locations that exist. All right, so we're gonna have this, and this is private. So the naming convention, I find this fascinating. The naming convention for private static values is to put an S underscore in front of it. I find that fascinating. And this is going to start out with just being a new list like this. And the idea is anytime we construct a location, we're going to add it to that list. All right, so anytime we construct a location, we add it to that list. So then we sort of have like this manifest of all of the locations in our game that we can access. List, location, all locations. It's a public all locations. And this is just gonna copy this using link. So we're gonna import link here. And it's a getter. It's gonna make a copy of that so we can do something with it. Come on, give me the, why doesn't the import? I would be really curious why sometimes the quick fix works and sometimes it doesn't. All right, but I know I need using system.link. Oh, that stretch worked out nice. My legs are feeling really nice now. If anyone else, moving, for me, I feel like a coolness coursing through my legs because they're kind of sore, but that stretch now for the next hour or so, I'll be feeling that nice sort of like coolness as like the blood is moving through it or something. I don't know what that's called, but I love that about stretching. It feels good to do that. All right, so we have this all locations value here, this getter, this auto location. So now our test over here, my idea is in my tests, I want to make sure that all of the locations are turned on in my build. So you may have noticed I've had errors before. All right, so let me demonstrate the error for anyone who's just watching. So here's the error that you can get. The error that you can get happens to be part. If for some reason my character, let's go with my status screen. My status screen is unchecked here. For some reason, I can no longer transition to it. I get an error saying, hey, this scene does not exist. So I would like to ensure that if I have a location, that I can actually transition to it. So this is going to prevent any sort of, the idea is that it will help me identify issues later if I add a new scene or something. If I run my test, it'll tell me what's going on and I don't have to wait to run it to find it. In fact, my test should help inform that decision. So we're going to add a location test. Tests. Create new file, location test. And let's open up, I'm going to still, because I always sort of just start by stilling the top thing here. Okay, and this is going to be our location test. Let's add timeout to it. Timeout 5000. Description. Tests that locations are in the build manifest. Test location scene exists. So we're going to test that the scene exists with the given name. So every one of those names has to have a scene and it has to be in the build manifest. So I'm curious if there's some way to do that, right? So scene manager, and I don't know, maybe this is something we can't do. Let's go to Unity, get scenes in build settings. Editor build settings dot scenes. Okay. The list of scenes that should be included in the build, the same list of scenes that is shown in the build settings, can modify this list to set up which scenes should be included in the build. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. It looks like I might actually be able to, and I don't know if this is good practice or terrible practice. Like it actually looks kind of like, oh, this would be an editor only thing. I don't want to do that there. I was gonna say, looks like what I could do is when you construct a location, going down and be like, why does this thing keep turning itself back on? Later on, a future version of you being very, very confused. All right, but it looks like we want to do using Unity Editor. And so what's nice is this are edit mode tests. So this is an edit mode test, not in play mode. So we have access to it here. So using Unity Editor, I want to get editor build settings dot scenes. All right, so editor build settings dot scenes. What does this return? Scenes. Returned an array of these. The list of scenes that should be included in build. This is the same list of scenes that is shown in the window. You can modify this list to set up scenes should be in the build. Okay. What I could do, no, this would again have to be an editor only thing. So I could have it give us a warning if it's not in the scenes. That's not a bad idea either. Or maybe it is a terrible idea. I feel like it's not a terrible idea. All scenes. All scenes. All scenes. And I want to loop over this for each this scene. I want to go through and check. All right, let's also get our list of location. All locations. Like this. Let's import everything that we need here. Okay. So this goes through, gets, can I get the name? In the for and all right, so can I get the name of the scene? Essentially, I want to make sure that the names are in there, and so this is asset. Oh, that's interesting. Scenes to include in build. Set editor panel. Editor settings, not to set the build. So we convert it to a list of scenes. I'm curious. Our editor scene path and true. Curious what scene path is here. So let's take a look here. I'm going to do a debug.log unity engine.debug.log. What is my scene.path? Scene dot and then my GUID. Okay, unity engine.debug.log GUID path. And so we're learning about various things here. So I have this test. It should pass because I don't have any asserts in there. There's no assertion, so it's going to be happy to pass, I think. But we can run just this and get the debug in. One or more for location through an exception. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. That's kind of fascinating here. The error was this thing, so I'm going to comment this out just for now. Saying that when I go to do all locations, I think that's what it was telling me. Let's try it. Yeah, an Immortal Kid on YouTube says it will be something like asset / level / the name. That's sort of what I was thinking too, is it would give it, it's sort of like the path to where it exists in this scene. Yes. All right. So yeah, that's right. So it's asset / scene / whatever .unity. And so part of me is thinking that, and then the GUID is just like some wild thing there. Part of me is thinking that in our location itself, in our strings, in the scenes here, we probably actually want this in case we end up with like different, I could see a world in which you ended up with two scenes where you have one called two scenes called town that happen to be in like different subpaths. So I'm curious if it's okay if we can do it this way. So I'm really curious if we can give the full path name, if it'll still transition fine. Which one did I do there? To town. Let's try it. Go to status. Oh, I turned it off. Hang on. Let's get our status screen back. So I'm really curious. I'm going to status. Object reference not set. This is fascinating to me. Oh, that's really interesting. This is just so interesting to me here. It's basically saying if it doesn't... Yeah, so I think the index is like what they is sort of preferred. So I'm trying to like you know, noodle is the word, noodle my way and figure out what exactly is going on. So Immortal Kid says you can load the scene in the scene manager with full path, but I've seen the recommendation by index based. That's right. And so we're actually building our own sort of location manager that's going to do it for us, so that we're not stringly typing our... We don't have magic strings essentially floating around for our scene names. And then our scenes, we're gonna have something that looks kind of like this. And during construction, you know, if we need to, we could potentially get the scene ID that way, which will probably be the better way to do it. So in this case, it'd sort of be like, oh, when we construct this thing, find the index ID of this thing and save it if we can. So this one is fascinating to me. The error is null reference. I'm 90% sure it's saying that this list is null, even though we've sort of said that at the static level it gets initialized. I don't know why it's not initializing here. It's blowing my mind a little bit. So I'm going to comment this out just to test this other thing I was testing, which I've halfway forgotten at this point. I wanted to test... Oops, didn't mean to move my face. I'm not getting coffee. Go away, you. My mouse clicked on my OBS setup there. Oh, did I just close? There we go. Clicking around on too many things. Oh, I was testing... Yeah, so we can do it that way. I was testing the full path. It wasn't able to find it using the full path. Unless, yeah, it wasn't able to find it using the full path. Wow. That is interesting to me. So I'm really curious here. All right, so this is me just exploring another. What happens if I have a scene called town here and I go to my build? Which one will it pick? How does it know? So this is where you'd have to use your index. Wow, that's crazy. Let's go I want to read the documentation on this. Wow. Scene manager. Scene manager. Rather than, all right, get scene by path. Searches all scenes loaded for a scene that has the given asset path. Path of the scene should be relative to the project folder. Okay. A reference name is not valid. If not valid, an invalid scene is returned. Searches all scenes loaded. Searches through the scene, so let's look here. Load scene, loads the scene by its name or index. So I don't think we actually do it. So load scene allows you to specify whether or not to load the scene additively. Also, you should really be doing like an async. So the other thing that's nice about doing it this way when we do this transition is we can add a load screen. We can add a load screen that shows up and we do things. We really shouldn't be calling load scene directly. It should be called, we should be calling load asynchronous, like an async load. This sort of says, don't, you know, to avoid pauses, hiccups, you should use the asynchronous version. As shown in the build setting when it's still without the Unity extension, if only the scene name is given, load the first scene. Oh, interesting. I should not have assets in front of it. Smab, enjoy your walk. Enjoy the beautiful I hope it's beautiful weather. Enjoy the weather. Thank you so much for hanging out. It's been wonderful, my friend. It's nice to see you this morning. As always, you're welcome back anytime. Take care, my friend. That is interesting that in this case, it's so here then, in our scenes, we would do just scenes/town. Okay, let's try that. And let's go back to our start in the status screen. This is interesting. Exit, status, exit. Okay, so we could do it that way. I think that's the like better way to do it. I'm really interested in these. This seems to be only getting things that are loaded though. And then set active scene, unload scene. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. So load async. Use the async operation to determine whether or not it's loaded. It looks like we could actually do the full path like this. All right, I'm gonna try one more thing here. I'm gonna try one more thing here with our location, with our scenes. Can I do assets at Unity? Does this work? That also works. Okay, so you can do the full path, which is what we want, because in our test here, this is what we want. We want to be able to test that the scenes exist in the build. So when I run this, I didn't want to do run all, just run this one. It's showing me the full path, and so that's essentially what I want to use, is the full path to my scene rather than the shorthand. So we're gonna go ahead and add those in there. Let's delete this another folder. And we're gonna update our scene strings here. Assets / scenes / status.unity. Assets, scenes, character creator.unity. Assets, scenes, shop.unity. And we're gonna do a couple cool things here, or a couple things that I think is interesting. We're gonna show how to use editor only code, so that way it'll work even if we're not in the editor, I think. So you can use like, what are they called? I always call them pragmas. They're called something else, directives. We can use directives. Okay, so now the idea is in my location test. Here's a weird thing that's going on though. My location, I think technically this private thing needs to be first. Right, we're gonna try something here. I think let's do, I might have to add a static constructor to do this thing that I'm trying to do. Okay, so now it works. So fascinating, maybe not fascinating, interesting thing. This sort of loads top to bottom. Exactly. An immortal kid points out that, hey, this private thing here doesn't exist. What's curious though, an immortal kid, is this is a function. So I'm certain this ran, and since this is a property, it should really be down here. You want your properties after your constructor, and this is why that ordering is important. So they always say put your private things first. Is that right, or is it public things first? Anyway, is it private? Essentially, you should put your fields first. Then all of your properties and methods should come below, and I'm pretty sure it's for this exact reason that I just ran into. I'm curious though if this exists. It should now, because each one of these is going to run after the fact. And now in our location test, we want to check, does the scene exist in our list, right? So we're going to say, we're going to use link to make this a little easier. So using system.link, we want to ensure, we want to say all locations dot any we're going the other way. I need to go the other direction. Right, so we need to say all locations. So for the location that we have, we're going to say that do all of them meet our criteria. Then return also those items that weren't checked in the build list. Oh, that's a good question. I think so. And there's yeah, so another town dice roller, these ones that aren't turned on. You're right. That is included. So thank you for pointing that out. But what we're going to check though is that for all of our locations, in our all locations, we want to check that name exists on one of these all scenes. So all scenes dot where. So we're only gonna keep ones that are enabled. All right, so we can actually do this thing. All scenes dot where scene dot is enabled. All right, so, and we don't need to do a to list here. This can be an IEnumerable. IEnumerable of editor build settings. Is that right? What is the return type? Is IEnumerable of editor build settings scene. All right, some long names here. So now we're only gonna have a list of scenes that are enabled. And we really only care about the path. So then we're gonna say out of those ones, we're actually gonna select the scene.path. All right. And so now we have a list of strings, and this is the paths of enabled scenes in our build settings. Okay. So we are gonna get all of our scenes that are enabled and then convert those to strings. So we have the path. So we've gone through and we've done this to pull it out. And then the idea is that we're gonna say, okay, for each one of these locations, and we can do even better. We're gonna turn this into a hash set. So we have fast lookup times. All right, so this is actually gonna be a hash set of string. And we're gonna say for each one of these locations, assert contains location.name in our all scenes. And we should rename this, I think, in enabled scenes. And did I get back here? Expected and then collection. Is hash set not fall into the collection? What's this saying? Cannot convert from this to iCollection. How bogus is that? Hash set's not an iCollection. Come on, assertions. All right, so we're gonna assert true. Enabled scenes not contains contains our location name. And I'm going to actually change our location name here. I think name is a bad thing. It's going to be called scene path, because that's really what it is. It's our scene path. Okay. Compile. Happy to compile. Let's run this test. It passes, but that I don't know anything yet if that's true. We got to manually test it at least once. Let's turn off some of these. If we run it again, it should fail. Okay, good. This gives us confidence that it works. Gives us confidence that it's doing what we want it to do. And so if we go and we run our spot here, and it works. And so this is going to help catch us from making a mistake, because we have this sort of system that requires us to edit something in more than one place, right? So when we have a locus in our build setting, so we want to, there's this idea as a software engineer, as a programmer, is like you want to fail systems that fail fast are typically easier to debug than systems that fail silently later. So previously, I would fail when it wouldn't fail until I clicked the button to transition my scene. Right? So now it's going to actually fail on my test here before I even run my scene. And then even potentially better, which I'm curious about when this location is going to get initialized. I'm going to write one more thing. I'm going to do a commit real quick. We're going to do a commit. Basically saying we added in a test. Yeah. So the first one was a couple things we did. But yeah, essentially we added in a test. I don't want to include this transition properties yet. Part of me is thinking that we're actually going to create a class called transition. And instead of having transition props, we have a class that's a transition, and you give it which scene you're going to, and it knows how to do stuff with that. So like my brain's already going to over engineering land. Okay. So I don't want to include my transition properties because I don't think I'm going to include that. But the feature that we just did, really this is a test, right? Tests. Add location test. All right. Location test ensures that all location scenes are in the build settings manifest. All right, so that's the idea here, is that we add a location test and it has it in the build setting manifest. Okay, I feel good about that. I feel real good about that. But the question is, can we fail even sooner? Can we fail faster? Right? So there's this sort of this minor issue I have of, well, what if I don't run my test, right? What if I don't run my test? Technically, I can still, it's not going to fail as, so let's make our town not part of this. So we've turned our town off, and I run this. It runs, it loads. If I had run my test, I would see that I fail, right? If I ran my test, but we're fallible. We're humans, we're fallible. When I go to run this, I'm like, okay, cool. I don't know anything's wrong. I'm testing my scene, I'm happy. I go to exit, and then I get it. So the soonest it could fail was when we tried to move transition to it. So my question is, can we fail sooner? Can we fail sooner? And I'm not sure if we can. What I would like to do is in my location constructor, I would like to fail if that scene does not exist. All right. So this is sort of shouldn't be too bad. This location class has these sort of static things that happen when it loads. It'll load those in. I'm gonna do a format here. I would like to fail here before I even construct this thing and add it. I want to say, is this location in my scene? So I have this predicament that I'm in though. All right. So my location test here is sort of checking whether or not that scene is enabled. Say, hey, something is not so great here. Something's not so great. And then it'll actually tell me which scene is missing. And it will also, if I end up renaming my scene, it should actually catch it there pretty quick as well. So I'm gonna see if I can move this here. And then there's some issues. There's some issues that we run into. All right. So instead, yeah, nobody over on YouTube's asking, can you make a dictionary that contains all of the scenes in order to check to see if that list contains it? That's essentially what we've done here with this hash set. Dictionary. So a dictionary has like keys and values. So it maps keys to values. And in some ways, a hash set's very similar in that you can sort of think of a hash set as a dictionary. And what I kind of want to do is we're going to add in a static method here. Public static bool. Scene exists. And this is going to take in a path. Or scene is scene enabled. This is sort of what we want to do. It's given a path. Can we determine if a scene is enabled? All right, so here's the sort of like sad thing. All right, as soon as I have this editor build settings, this method will not work. This class is gonna crash. If I try and build this project, Unity editor does not exist outside of editing in Unity. So this class, my program just like no longer will work if I try and build it. All right. And right here, we're gonna actually do, we're gonna do a little bit different this time. We're gonna do where, so we don't need all of them. We just need to find where this is enabled, and then if any of the scene goes to scene.path is equal to path. And we can sort of one-line-ish this. All right, so we're gonna return this here. So we're gonna use link a little bit here to say, only look at enabled scenes, and then if any of the scenes match this path, return true. So that's sort of the link thing we've done to check this condition. So that sort of is scene enabled. And it's not most efficient thing. So maybe we don't want to do this, but really it's just for our location test. I don't think if we had 100 million scenes to check or something, I think this would be really, we'd want to optimize this, but I think we're mostly okay. And now, just to give us some confidence that this is working, I'm gonna write this. I'm gonna say for all of our locations here, for all of our locations, can we assert that location dot is scene enabled location dot scene path like this. All right, just to give myself some confidence that this in fact is doing what I think it's doing. We're gonna come over here. We're gonna set it up so this will fail. I think it should fail right now because I think I have some of my scenes disabled. I'm not 100% sure. So it should fail. And if we come into our build settings and we turn our town back on, okay. So we have this sort of check here, right? We're gonna disable it one more time. And what I wanna do though is when we construct a location, I want to debug dot, sorry, can get Unity Engine in here. Using Unity Engine, I want to debug dot assert is scene enabled name. And if it's not, we're gonna have a message that says the location the location name could not be constructed because the scene is not enabled in the build setting. So we're going to give ourselves a little bit of information here. So we can do this assertion that says if the scene is not, so we're asserting that it is enabled. So if this is false, then we should get this. So now, what's interesting, I'm curious when this will happen. All right, when I go to run, fingers crossed. Oh. I was hoping we'd be able to fail quicker. Unity Coder asks, he says, yesterday, they ask, I don't know if, sorry if I used the wrong pronoun. Unity Coder asked, yesterday, you mentioned reasoning for making abstract class something about doing almost similar stuff. Is there some cheat sheet available where one could check what to do in such situations, like when to use interfaces, when to make? The answer is a lot of it comes with experience. Okay, so we identified, so you're right, as soon as you see that you're doing something similar, and especially if it's like identical. So for example, what I was running into yesterday, it depends, yeah. So what I was running into yesterday was the following situation. Right, so we had our weapon class, right? So the weapon class is the one we ended up saying, oh, well, I want to have an abstract class called equipable. So let me start by saying one thing to keep in mind is you almost can't go wrong by using interfaces. Interfaces are just like a good thing to have. There is sort of like this argument of over-engineering. You want to, you don't want to be too over-engineered, but this idea of an interface is a good thing because it makes it's almost never a bad idea to have an interface. Right, so there's this idea of sort of programming with interfaces, and so this lets you have things that fall into the category of is a thing. All right, so an item is a JSONable. I can turn it to JSON, but not everything that is JSONable is an item. Right, so we have item here. We come down to iEquipable. And so what I was running into was in my weapon class down here, it used to just have iEquipable, right? So I started with weapon, I had iEquipable, and it was the only item I really had in the game at that time. And so then when I went to add in my armor, right? So I created an armor type, and I was going, oh my goodness, everything is exactly the same. Literally copy and paste identical, except for duplicate and slots. And then additionally, there was like a field called defense. The fact that it was like 100% identical, it wasn't even just like, oh, it was the same, but it was, with these minor differences. That was a sign to me that, okay, armor and weapon are equipables. All right, so this tells me that those things have the property of they are equipables. They share the exact same thing. So that was sort of how I identified it. In general, when you use inheritance, you have it. So using inheritance trapped into a class, you force yourself into using that implementation. Armor can no longer extend any other classes. It's impossible. It just cannot be done in C#. And so this is why the interface idea is a good idea, because although I'm stuck as an equipable, so I'm stuck with that, I can still add any number of interfaces I want. So this idea here was, I had such a strong feeling that these two things have the exact same implementation that I use it. The alternative would be to do composition. So what I could do is I could say, okay, the alternative I could have would be to create a class called like equipable information, right? So in all of the sort of combined data that they share, I'd have some delegate class called equipable information, and that would be a composition value that I would pass in as an argument. So in general, it's a good idea to favor composition over inheritance, because it's a little to extend something, you're sort of stuck in that spot. So I'm not 100% sure I've chosen the right thing here. One of the ways to think about it is you want to ask the question, and equipable. So if it is an equipable, it's likely that it should extend it, versus has a. If it has a thing, then it probably shouldn't extend it and instead should implement it, implement the interface and potentially have it as a composition. So for example, here's an example where I've used composition. In composition instead of inheritance. All right, so I didn't mean to close all those things. We'll get back to this real quick. I got to add in a to-do here. Give me one moment, Unity. What was I doing? This was in location. All right. So I really wanted this to be the case. Well, I'll get a better error message now here, though. All right, to-do, attempting to fail fast here. Okay, so I'm trying to attempt to fail fast, and it's not failing fast enough. I would like to fail faster if possible, because I know it could fail faster. Okay, so here's an example of where I used composition over inheritance. So check it out. My character, my player character has an inventory and has an equipment manifest. My player character, my character has those. It isn't, my player character isn't an inventory, it has it, so it's a composition. And this gave me the power to use an inventory also with my shop. So my shop has an inventory. It isn't an inventory, but here, check it out. Check it out. If I go up to my interface here, I have an interface called I has an inventory. And this allows me to sort of interchange anything that has a field on it, a property for inventory, can be passed into my inventory renderer. All right, so on my, let's go over to my scene real quick, my shop scene, because I have two different inventories here. If I go over to my shop scene, right here. So my shop scene, I have two different types of inventories. I have a character's inventory, and then I have a shop's inventory, and they get rendered differently, but they both just are full of items. All right, so they're both full of items, but they get rendered differently, and you interact with them a little bit differently. So my character inventory, I can drag and drop. I can't do that yet over here because I added that property. And so the way I've done this is in my inventory renderer, right, the thing that renders my inventory. It knows how to render an inventory, but it also knows how to render anything that has an inventory. So anything that extends, anything that implements that has an inventory, it knows how to propagate through. And so now in my scene here, I have my shop controller, and my shop controller has an observable shop on it. And what I say is, oh, well, my shop inventory changes. If my shop inventory changes, is that right? Hang on. Shop controller, here it is. Is that right? Inventory observable inventory. Yeah. So my inventory observable has a thing called if it can accept anything that has a shop. And then on my player controller, it's the same thing. When my player controller changes, I tell the inventory to update itself. So my inventory knows how to update itself based on the character changing. And eventually it's anything that has an I, has inventory, can be put on that. All right, so this allows me to sort of identify that. So a good rule to follow for extension is asking, is this thing, is it an equipable, or should it have an equipable? So that's sort of like a way to like conceptually think about it. Doesn't always work out. That was a long explanation. I apologize if that was me talking at you way too long, but I hope that was helpful. But yeah, I think I learned that from a book called Effective Java, and the idea in there was sort of like favor, and this is, you can hear this in a lot of different places. Favor composition over inheritance, because inheritance forces you into a hole, whereas composition is a little bit more malleable. And again, also favor interfaces. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad you're learning. That's my whole point. I'm trying to teach. I'm trying to share my knowledge, and I'm also trying to learn. So I'm very new to Unity. How do you? He loves to rant. It grants him power. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Give me all the power. Right, so I'm trying to fail fast. So what's interesting is these don't get loaded until location comes into existence. And so part of me was thinking that as soon as we see the using keyword, we would have that issue. Let me look at my build settings here. Yeah, my town's not loaded. So I was sort of thinking our error message will be a little bit better though. When I go to return to town, I get the assertion, the location town could not be controlled because the scene is not enabled in the build settings. All right, so I do get this assertion here. It's just not when I click run, which is a little bit disappointing. I kind of wanted that to happen when I run. I wanted to fail. Like I said, I want to fail faster. And that's not. Oh, that's too bad. There's probably a way to. I didn't mean to click that. There we go. You could put it in some update somewhere, right? But then you'd have to have that in every scene. And so what's cool here, something I just learned is that if I were to go to my shop controller, something I just learned is even though I call using here like this, even though I'm using this, it actually doesn't load the location class into memory until, and this is kind of cool, doesn't load the location class into memory until this method is called. At this point, that class gets loaded. But the question is like, where would I put it on awake, right? Where would I put it on awake? I'd have to put that code on anything, like on every single scene, and now I have to add that, and it defeats the purpose of having this check here of the fail fast. Now I have to add some extra code to ensure that it fails fast somewhere. I would like for it to just fail fast sort of automatically for me. And so nobody, I could add it to awake. But which awake do I add it to? Do I add it to the shop controller? All right, so I could add it to the shop controller. I could do that. So the overall scene manager. Okay, well now that's essentially what I'm trying to do. This is not a mono behavior. This location class doesn't exist until something out in the universe says, "Hey, I need you location." So it's not the first time it sort of gets invoked. It happens. And so I would kind of need to use reflection to sort of load it in somewhere. Yeah, so it's sort of like this. The idea would be that when my application starts, I want it. So let's go Unity, run code before first scene loads, right? So I kind of want like this idea of like, is there a place where I can put something that during like the game load, you can create an empty loading. It's not when I run an individual scene. To load a scene in Unity. All right, so I do know at the very least I get a better error message for this assertion. I get a better error message because of this assertion at the very least, but there's going to be a bug here. So not a bug, but there's a horrible, horrible thing that's going to happen. All right, I'm using Unity Editor here. Unity Editor only exists if I'm running it inside of Unity Editor. If I were to go build this, I'd get a bunch of errors. So when I build it, when I have an actual build, it will no longer work, and in fact, it's going to crash. So what we're going to use is a directive. So Unity provides some great directives. I'm about to wrap up, Smab. Yeah, I'm still going. I'm still going. 2 hours, an hour and 45 minutes until work starts for me. I have my back-to-back classes today, so my goal is to finish in the next 15 minutes. Really, my goal is to preload lets you use serialized information from what I can tell. I'm gonna have to look into that. Unity preload. I work remotely, Smab, so I don't have to, my travel's about 17 seconds. Probably 2 minutes. My travel is I gotta go to the kitchen, get some more coffee, and then travel back. So it's about a 2-minute round trip. Yeah, quite handy. Yeah, scene loading, build settings. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure if this is what we need, but what I want, so here before I get too distracted, we'll add this to the to-do list actually. We're gonna add it to our to-do list. 15, if possible. We would like to fail fast on scene load if a location is not available in the Unity, in the build settings. So this is like something we would like to do. So sort of like, I would like to have a hook that says, you know, before any scene loads, can I get location? Can I Unity editor only directive, conditional compilation. So there's these ideas of these directives you can add. I always call these pragmas. Pragma is not the right word, but you can actually add this thing here that says if Unity editor. So and if this is what's called a preprocessor. So before we even compile, if we're not in the Unity editor, this code actually gets removed from this file before it compiles. All right. So I'm gonna say if we're in the Unity editor, we're gonna use this thing here. And then similar down here, we actually only want to assert this if we're in the Unity editor. And similar, this method should only exist if we're in the Unity editor. So I was talking with Rave last night, and he was asking, how can I get my, you know, if I'm in 2 different projects, in one project, I really only want my class, I don't want my class to have all this extra stuff because it refers to another project. And so this would be how you could do it. You could create your own directive that says if multiplayer project, have this, otherwise do this other thing. So this is super useful if you have something like this. So in the editor, I want to give myself some confidence of things working. You'll notice it still works in my editor. And if I return to town, I get my assertion. I can still run it here. I'm in edit mode here. So I have my edit technically. Ooh. Oh, it's because my... And you can't quite see the benefit here or exactly how this is working because I'm not building. But now if I build, this code doesn't execute outside. And the other thing is what's really cool is this is super useful for platform building. So for example, if we're building for WebGL, I can use a different implementation. And so this is something that we talked about previous a little bit, was in WebGL, there are certain serialization things that wouldn't work. And so we could say, well, if I'm in WebGL, do this thing. If I'm not in WebGL, do this other thing for saving and loading. So if I'm in WebGL, I want to actually save to like the browser file system. Whereas if I'm not in WebGL, I want to save to the computer's file system. So this lets us do interesting things in that regard. Or another one would be on Windows. You typically don't have access to something called curl, but you have it on Linux and OS X. So there's some potential differences here where it says, well, if I happen to be on Mac, I want to do something different than if I'm on Linux or if I'm on Windows. So this is a super useful way to have your code be sort of, Unity tries to be cross-platform, but it doesn't always work. So this is a great way to be able to have various different chunks of code exist in different places. Although you usually wouldn't want to spread it out too much like this. Instead, I might have a different like subclass or something that I use if I am in the Unity editor. But we won't worry about that too much. Yeah, awesome, Smab. Awesome. We use the same technique for multi-targeting NuGet. I say NuGet. Is it NuGet or Nugget? I always say NuGet. I bet it's Nugget. I also have curl on Windows. Good point. This was just trying to give an example. All right, everyone. I'm gonna do a commit real quick here, but we're wrapping it up. So I can prep myself for my 2 classes today. I'm teaching 2 classes today. Intro to Competitive Programming. So my first session of the term, Intro to Competitive Programming. And then I'm also teaching a class called Coding Interactive Fiction. So I'm super excited for both of these. Big fan of text adventures. So we're doing interactive fiction and competitive programming. And I clicked on a .asset thing and it's killing me. Let's go to settings. We want to say that source control, giving me some pain. Here, I'm trying to make it so there's this. When I clicked on this asset, it's now trying to figure out. It's trying to determine how it should render this thing, which text mode it should use. And so in my settings.json, I'm gonna add in as soon as it'll start responding here. Maybe if I just do a reload, I want to add in that I want to use a YAML. If it has a .asset, use YAML. All right, .asset, use use YAML so that it doesn't try and search for something. Okay, so now I hope if by accident, I'm not going to click on it, but if I accidentally click on it, we'll do a chore here. Chore, add .asset to files associations. We don't want to add this yet, but this was basically adding in our, did some weird thing on shop controller. Probably just a format. I removed shop from there. Yeah, okay, so we want to add everything except our transition properties. All right, so we're gonna say feat or chore, really anything, add if Unity editor directive to location. Wrap editor only code in Unity editor safe directive to ensure build will run outside of Unity editor. We're going to commit that. We're going to discard this iTransition. I don't want this. I think this is the wrong plan. And then we're going to sync changes here. All right. And so if anyone wants to look at the source code that we did today, let me get a link to that GitHub. This is Dice Roller, I think. Let's go find the link here. Repositories. Dice. Oh, it's prototype. That's funny. It used to be called Dice Roller. All right, so it's located here, but it happens to be on the Scene Transition Manager branch. So I wanted to make sure we had a link to that. On YouTube, I'll add it to the description of the video. I'm posting it in the chat over on Twitch. I'll post it in the chat on YouTube as well. But I'll put it in the description as well. All right, everybody. We're going to find someone to raid. Any suggestions? Is there anyone that someone would like me to raid? Otherwise, we're probably going to go over to Simple Game Dev. Let's go see what Simple Game Dev's doing. Yeah. I think we're going to raid Simple Game Dev. Let's see if this will... Let's get past this ad first. But any suggestions on who to raid? If you want me to raid someone specific, let me know. Let me know. Otherwise, we're going to do Simple Game Dev here. Come on. No one likes... Come on, it's... Okay. All right. But yeah, we're going to wrap up here. Goodness. Simple Game Dev. That is... That is annoying. All right. We're going to raid Simple Game Dev. All right, everybody. It was super fun.
Yeah, I understand what I'm doing. I shouldn't be doing.
Thank you so much for hanging out. As always, keep on coding, keep on growing. Have yourself a beautiful day, and you're welcome back anytime. Take care.
Just to make sure that scene name is not scene name. Checkpoint ID is 0. This is just like if I'm entering the next level, I need to make sure it's not going to